Welcome to the final episode of Lights, Camera, Akron.
This week, we talk with some graduating seniors to find out if their butterflies have kicked in yet.
And we learned some tips and tricks you could use in your next interview.
All of this and more on Lights, Camera, Akron.
Hello and thank you for joining us for a special episode of Lights, Camera, Akron.
We are coming to you live from Colby Hall right here at the University of Akron.
And we have plenty of great stories for you tonight.
That's right. And with the dreaded finals week coming up, the stress can be pretty overwhelming.
Luckily, the University of Akron offers several options to help cope with that stress, as well as other problems that may affect your mental health. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, more than 75% of all mental health conditions begin before the age of 24, making college a crucial time for self-care of the mind.
I think, first of all, being a good student is having a good plan in place, a good study plan, a really organized schedule can be very helpful to manage your time wisely. To even little things, knowing like the best place to study for you or the best strategy for you to study. And I think that also, I always encourage students that the second piece is to use your resources. That there's a lot of great things here at University of Akron, whether it's coming to see us, whether it's using tutoring, or even just sitting down and talking to your professor about your struggles.
Matt Altier is the Senior Associate Director of the Counseling and Testing Center, which offers many options to students needing help.
So we do individual counseling or psychotherapy. We do group counseling also. We help people with what we call educational counseling, so motivation or study skills, test-taking skills. We also do assessments for like learning disorder or ADHD, attention deficit disorder, and then we also do career counseling and career assessment to help people choose majors, for example.
The center is located in Simmons Hall, and students who may be struggling are encouraged to stop by.
During fall and spring semesters, so the bulk of the time that students are here, that we have walk-in intake time. So usually typically 8 to 11 in the morning or 1 to 3:30 in the afternoon that people can walk in and meet with one of the counselors to see how we can help them out the best.
The on-site staff are what they call generalists, handling everything that the center offers, and all sessions are kept confidential.
This is not something that will go on a student's academic record, that they came here. We can't tell a family or friend that they were here, let alone what they were here for.
The individual therapy sessions are usually around 45 minutes, where students talk about their experiences while trying to move toward resolutions.
I usually, this is a simplified version, but I usually tell students that's a combination of sharing what you're going through, and sometimes that's can be very relieving to have that person, that listening ear, but also to learn some skills and tools that can help you manage things on your own outside of the counseling meeting.
In addition to individual counseling, the center also offers group therapy.
We have groups on a variety of topics. We do workshops, one-hour workshops on things like procrastination or identity development or stress management. We also have our longer-term groups that we really put into two different categories. The one that are just more like therapy that go throughout the semester, and we also have groups that are shorter, 4 or 5 weeks, that are a specific topic focus. For anxiety management is one example of those groups.
The center has helped many students over the years, and there seems to be one common takeaway.
I think people are often very pleasantly surprised. There's a lot of stigma associated with coming in for psychological services. So they're surprised about the help that they receive, the changes that they experience, and just to feel like this is a pretty warm and welcoming environment for students.
In addition to all the center does on a daily basis, they also participate in outreach on campus.
If a student group calls upon us, or a class, or sometimes a faculty or a group of faculty and staff, that will go and present on things like stress management, study skills, some of the things that are already talked about. So that's something we're often doing on campus too.
As for finals week, Altier has some tips on how to handle the stress.
The other half of it, especially for finals week, is that we neglect the other side of being a student, is that self-care. So getting a good night's rest, spending time with friends, engaging in your hobbies, exercise, and diet are all important things too. That they usually get pushed to the side, especially during those higher stress times when it comes to finals week.
This has been Josh Gowdy for Lights, Camera, Akron.
That's such a good thing for the university to offer its students, because we all know how stressful being a college student can really be.
Yeah, and I don't think people actually realize how crucial your mental health is. And I really loved how he said, like, we forget that the other half of being a student is just enjoying life, hanging out with friends, and just living in the moment.
I totally agree. It's okay to take a break and relieve some of that stress that you may have.
Exactly, because sometimes it's really frustrating knowing you could be doing something more, but you just feel like you can't seem to find the time.
But that's not always the case. Brittany sat down with Demir Epperson, a student here at the University of Akron.
He explains how it's possible to be a student and successfully put on a large event.
Epperson was able to create the Late Night Local Talent Showcase, the largest showcase ever at the University of Akron.
In April, Demir Epperson, a junior here at the University of Akron, successfully put together the largest local talent showcase at the university in the Student Union Theater. There were many talented artists performing from the Akron area. Demir explains further which rising stars graced the stage.
The showcase that we had was called Late Night Local Talent Showcase. It is our very special end of the year event for WZIP. Usually what it came from was late night local talent, where we're doing interviews with just various hip hop artists and R&B artists just all across Northeast Ohio. So what we do is we take just some of the people we felt had a strong presence or had a good song, and we give them the exposure at the University of Akron. This was our first time actually doing it on the University of Akron's campus, and we had a great turnout. The event was fantastic, and just the atmosphere was very fun to be around. So we had 8 artists headlining. Our headlining artist was Red Rose Panic. They're a hip-hop band out of Akron, Ohio. They're fantastic. They've been on numerous fests. They do things at Music Hood. One of their big headlining factors was they did EST Fest somewhere here in Ohio, but it's a huge festival that happens here in Ohio. So they were a headlining band. They were fantastic. I loved them. The crowd loved them. But some of the other acts that we had Matt PFV, rapper here in Akron, Ohio. We had Eli Bandman. He's an up-and-coming rapper here in Akron, Ohio. We had Charity. She is a singer here in Akron, Ohio, which she also does a lot of R&B and a lot of singing, just backing up different bigger artists just here in the city. We had Shay Dalla, which he's an aspiring rapper here in Akron, Ohio. And then we had Jovan Wilder and B Smooth Boys, which they are R&B singers. Jovan Wilder's from Akron, Ohio, and then we had B Smooth Boys from Cleveland, Ohio. But they were all fantastic. They all really did a great job, and the event went very smooth.
As a student, staging such a large event could seem intimidating to some, but Demir explains what it takes to be successful at planning such a large event.
It starts with just picking the artists. Who did we want to be a part of this event? What type of event we were really going for. We kind of wanted something that was smooth, laid back, that everybody could relate to. So that's why we kind of mixed it up this year. We had not just all rap artists, but we had singers and we had a band. I felt like that definitely helped to relate to the crowd, on top of having rap artists as well. It really starts with just preparation, making sure you have a flyer, that the flyer is being seen by everyone. We had the flyer all around campus. We had it in parts of Cleveland. We just wanted to make sure that the message was being seen by anyone and everyone. And it's like, you can't get away from the message. That was our biggest thing, was just promoting it. Also, making sure contracts were signed. We don't want people canceling at the last minute. We want to make sure people are professional at all times and that we're handling ourselves in a professional manner. On top of WZIP being a college-ran radio station, we're also getting the experience to be able to do these things on a professional level in the long run, for whoever it is or whatever company it is. So just making sure we're establishing contracts, making sure that people are there on time, making sure that we had a sound check. We had 2 sound checks actually, just to make sure the show ran as smoothly as possible. We had been working on this for about 4 months actually, before this had all came together. When you're working with people on a show like Late Night Local Talent, just make sure everyone's being professional. Make sure that everyone is on the same page as you. You don't want confusion. You're doing one thing, you have someone doing one thing, but you want something else done in a different way. Just making sure that everybody is on top of what they're supposed to be on top of. If you're supposed to go get food for this event, make sure you have the food for the event. If you're supposed to film, please be there to film. Just being able to hold everyone accountable is the biggest advice I would give to anyone that is trying to hold a show like this. And make sure you have help. My first year doing this, I tried to do a lot of this on my own. A lot of it was done on my own. It's stressful. I'm only one person. Trying to be in 10 different places at once is hard. So make sure you have 4 or 5 people that you know you can count on that will be able to help you. So shouts out to everyone that was helping.
That is awesome. Not only is he doing what he loves, but he's also helping showcase others do what they love.
I wish that I could have gone. It looked like it was so inspiring for those who participated.
I know, same here. But now we're going to send things over to Brissa Bradfield, who has a special interview with ZTV General Manager Juan Contreras.
Thanks, guys. I am actually here with Outstanding Teacher of the Year, Juan Contreras. Juan, a little birdie told me that you were the general manager of ZTV, and you guys actually were nominated for a few Emmys.
That's right.
That's right.
We have 5 Emmy nominations this year. It's not the first time that we receive Emmy nominations, but we have never received this many. That's for sure. So we have 5 programs nominated. We have Lights, Camera, Akron, and 300 Seconds of Science competing for the Emmy in the category of News and Information. We have Lowdown and Akron After Hours competing for the Arts and Entertainment category. And our promotional video, WZIP ZTV Make Media Make a Difference, also got a nomination in the short form category.
Well, that is exciting. So what all goes into creating those? How long, like, is it just one segment of their show that is sent to the Emmys, or how does all that work?
So in order to qualify for the Emmys, you have to submit material that aired during a specific time frame, and normally it's just from January 1st till December 31st. And they have specific guidelines for the submissions. For the news and information categories and the arts and entertainment, you can't go past 10 minutes. So we grab a segment of what we want to send that we consider what is the best of our work. We make sure that it airs on our program, on our channel, and then we submit it to the Emmys.
Oh, neat. That's so exciting. So I know you've been working with the media and with the School of Communications for a few years now. So you've been through quite the amount of graduates coming in and out. And with graduation just around the corner, do you have any advice for future students going through graduation, or wanting to be in the media industry?
Absolutely. So I think one of the recommendations that I would have is for people to be patient. The media industry is really ruthless, and it takes a lot of time, dedication to knock on a lot of doors, have a lot of those doors be shut in your face, and eventually somebody is going to say, I'm going to give you a chance. But probably the mistake that a lot of the graduates will make is just apply for 1 or 2 jobs and then sit and wait and expect for somebody to just make a call back. You have to be very proactive in looking for jobs. And also the recommendation would be try not to just look in the state of Ohio or in your local area.
Gotta get out sometime.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio is a market primarily of news and sports, and it's a very competitive market. It's not the University of Akron, the only academic program that offers degrees in media. So there are a lot of graduates out there looking for jobs. So your competition is fierce as it is. There's also markets that normally students don't look to, corporate video and things like that. Marketing and social media usage of video is on the rise, so that's another area where people can look for jobs. But there are network affiliates all over the country, and in some states there aren't many academic programs offering media degrees, so there's less competition in those. But students also have to be on the lookout for those kind of jobs.
And the University of Akron is actually fortunate enough to have a wonderful program like ZTV and WZIP to really give you a hands-on experience. And there's not many schools in Ohio with this. I know us, Ohio University, and a few others, but not many. So this is something that students here are very fortunate enough to have and be able to put on their resume. Now, do you have any success stories or students that you've had come through that are now, professionals and active in the real world as, reporters or even working behind cameras somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. We have dozens of students that have graduated not just from the University of Akron, but also from our ZTV program. If we go far back to 2006, Scott Siebert, for example, he was actually the first Emmy winner for the station. And he works in Los Angeles, and he has worked as a supervising editor for Bad Robot, which is the company owned by J.J. Abrams. We have former students that work for Fox Sports Network, people that have worked for MTV, HBO, country music television, things like that. I know that you immediately said,
I'm a fan of the country music, that's for sure. So aside from TV and media, I know that you run a summer class called Star Wars.
The Films of Star Wars.
The Films of Star Wars, that's what it's called. You're big into Star Wars, like I'm big into country music. Can you tell me about the class and what all that entails?
So the class, it's only a 5-week course at the moment. Maybe someday I'll be able to offer it in a regular semester in a 15.
One day.
15 goals. Basically, what it does is it's actually a class on more than just Star Wars. It's just that everything is filtered through Star Wars. And Star Wars is just a starting point to look at other things. So we study how the film industry used to work back in the day. We see how Star Wars changed the film industry with the introduction of new business models, also special effects and things like that. And then we also look at the whole concept of storytelling and modern myth making. So we look at the hero's journey. How does that look like in Star Wars? How does that look in other storylines? And we also get an opportunity to see what other tools storytellers will use, like religion, politics, and history in storytelling and in Star Wars. And also, films allowed you to see what the current state of cultural and political climates exist. So Star Wars is very special because we have films that were released in the 70s, in the 90s, and then in the 21st century.
Right.
So we can see what the portrayal of women and minorities, for example, were like in films in the 70s, in the 90s, and then in the 21st century, and have a comparison point. And then we also look at the marketing of super brands, in this case Star Wars.
Gotcha. So Star Wars, that's a not different movie, but that's something I guess many people like. I'm a fan of Star Wars myself, but what sparked your interest to want to spend your summers teaching it?
Well, I've always
that's dedication.
I've always loved Star Wars, so I was looking for a fun class to teach, and obviously I'm not just going to go and say, let's watch Star Wars and you get college credit. A lot of people seem to think that that's what it is. But it actually kind of started when a former professor was leaving the university, and he was scheduled to teach a class on the films of Harry Potter.
Okay.
And then they asked me, can you teach this class? I said, no, I don't know anything about Harry Potter. Other than watching the movies,
It's
not qualified. So they said, can you teach something like this? And I said, well, I could teach a class on Star Wars. And in the end, it didn't work out, but it kind of put a seed in my mind that said, like, this could be a cool class.
I could make this work.
Yeah, and so I kept pushing a couple of higher-ups, and then eventually I was told, around the time when The Force Awakens was going to be released, was creating a lot of buzz, and they said, this might not be a bad idea after all.
This could happen, and you made it happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Juan. Well, it looks like that's all the time we have right now, but I appreciate you coming and let me talk to you. And actually, we're going to head to our first commercial break, so we'll be back in a few minutes.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it. When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director here, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for.
And to see you makes me proud.
I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
How can you make a difference in the world? You start with yourself.
It's very hard to change the world if you're not good. So how do you become good?
You care about what you do.
You try new things. You gain experience in a range of tangible and practical skills.
You better yourself, go on to better the community, and then the world.
You make media, and you make a real difference.
It all starts with you. It's your decision. Do something different.
Make media. Make a difference.
To be at peace with myself is the most prominent thing, and I am at peace with myself. I didn't deal this deck, I'm just playing the game. That's all. That's it. Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise. Been making sure they get the nutrition that I need, and it's a balanced meal. My name is Maurice McGriff. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
My text to emoji ratio has gotten a little out of hand.
A little?
Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
I was living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Welcome back to LCA.
Some of you may already know, but a safety officer here on campus has been receiving a lot of recognition lately.
And my lovely co-host Maddie sat down with Diana Wolf this week, and what she is doing is making history. Let's check it out.
When you hear about post-traumatic stress disorder, people often think of veterans or servicemen and women in the military, but it can affect anyone, including those fighting in our own community. Diana Wolf is a part-time firefighter and full-time safety officer at the University of Akron's College of Polymer Science and Polymer Engineering, who has experienced PTSD firsthand and wants to bring awareness to the condition.
A lot of firefighter cases, it's sort of considered repetitive exposure trauma. So we're exposed to violent situations all the time. Or you have a like, oh, I couldn't save that person or that child, and you feel bad, or you feel like I could have done more, when in all necessity you probably did everything you could do. My experience was a little bit of both, of repetitive exposure trauma and outside stressors that came together to build upon each other and became just extremely stressful, where I couldn't deal with let's say the visions in my head or the thoughts in my head, where it became I became more depressed.
To bring more awareness of PTSD and overcome it herself, Wolf will be completing an Ironman in June while wearing full firefighter gear in the marathon portion. Her goal is to raise $25,000 for the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation.
100% of the donations go to the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation to help for programs with volunteers, part-time and career firefighters. It's to raise awareness for PTSD. I'm not here to provide any resources. I'm just here to open the doors for firefighters to say, hey, it's okay, you have PTSD. That it's not a weakness. It's not something you did. It's just something that happened to you, and that you can actually get through it and live a better life after it, or reducing the effects of the symptoms that you have.
Wolf will be the first woman to complete the Ironman in full firefighter gear. She wants to prove that women should not be held back because of their gender, especially those who are putting their life on the line to fight fires.
You know, I want to do this. It's always the guys on the courses with the fire gear. Why not a female? And then I thought I'd like to raise money for firefighters with PTSD, because that's why I'm doing it. Hopefully to show younger female firefighters that they too can excel, push beyond their physical limits, and be seen as equals. And putting this PTSD out there with Ironman and being female, it really pushes the envelope to say, this is real, PTSD is real in the fire service. People need to talk about it.
Firefighters put on a brave face every day to protect their community. But Wolf wants to make sure they know they have people to help them and are fighting the same fight they are beyond putting out fires.
I think there's a lot of resources out there for firefighters with PTSD, and it's becoming more talked about in like official levels, but at the department level, down the boots on the ground, the firefighters really aren't talking about it. They're not going to open up and say they have it. The few fire departments I have talked to, once they hear me talking about it, they all start talking about it, where it's okay to say now in those departments that, hey, I'm having problems after that call. Whether you're post-traumatic stress from firefighting or something else, or something that violently happened to you or whatnot, is to seek that out, or cognitive behavior therapy, which is what I do, which is what the Ironman, finding a goal, setting it, and then you build strength and confidence after each goal that's been met. So the longer races I did, the better I felt, because it was a bigger goal.
This will be Wolf's 5th Ironman, but with this one, there is a specific cause at hand.
Finishing this Ironman is going to like close the chapter on book for me, that I'll feel like I finally got there. I've gotten back to my normal self at the end of this.
If you or someone you know is struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder, you can visit www.ptsd.va.gov for more information. This has been Maddie Watkins for Lights, Camera, Akron.
Wow, she truly is an inspiration, and I'm so glad that you were able to speak with her.
Me too. I felt like I was speaking with a celebrity, and she brings so much awareness to PTSD, and it's truly eye-opening.
Yeah, what she's doing is great. Akron holds a lot of hidden treasures.
including a store that has been around for generations.
LCA's Brissa sat down with the executive producer of the Mustel store in downtown Akron.
Let's see what the store is all about.
Earlier this week, I had the chance to sit down with Don Gordon, the executive director of the Cascade Locks Mustel store along the Ohio-Erie Canal. He shared with me many pieces of Akron's history that many locals know nothing about.
This is a classic example of a Canal Air mercantile store. The Mustel family immigrated from England in the early 1800s. They operated a few stores in Akron, and this one in particular, their house is right next door, and the store is right on the Ohio and Erie Canal. 3 generations of the Mustel family owned and operated this store virtually from the 1850s to the late 1880s.
The house was acquired by Pete and Judy Ramnitz. They started to renovate and raise a family in the house.
A man named Walter Shep became very interested and advocated for preserving the house and the store.
The organization progressed through preservation, created a committee to preserve the industrial heritage area.
The City of Akron and the University of Akron joined in. The Ramnitz moved but stayed involved.
The University of Akron conducted an archaeological dig.
The Cascade Locks Park Association agreed to renovate the store and home.
The grand opening of the Mustel store lit up Akron.
We value the history of Akron and especially the Mustel family because we are at the Mustel store and the Mustel home. Their story is an important one because most of us came to Akron from somewhere else. And it's a story that repeats itself over and over. Even today, we're welcoming new families from different countries to Akron. So we've always been a city that immigrants play an important role. I mean, from England, we don't think of people immigrating from England, but that's where they came from in the early 1800s. So to bring your family to this new land for opportunity and to make your opportunity, I think is important for us to realize that it's not something new. It's not something that we should worry about. It's something that we should embrace because these people were important to the genesis of Akron. And I think that going forward to become to keep our community moving forward, we need to keep on having immigration.
The Ohio-Erie Canal was a major asset to not only the Mustel store, but also to Northeast Ohio.
You've all heard about the Ohio and Erie Canal. A lot of people don't know the history. You hear tidbits. The Akron connection to the Ohio Canal, the Ohio and Erie Canal is very important. So it arrived here in 1927. It was actually July 4th that the first boat left Akron to go to Cleveland. And that was 1827. They started the canal in 1825. It was built by Irish and German immigrants, many who died actually making the canal. There was dysentery, there was malaria, and it was really an amazing feat of engineering to think that back in the 1820s they were using picks and shovels, and it took them 2 years to dig a ditch from Cleveland to Akron. So what this did for Akron is open it up to the rest of the world.
Akron used to not be as accessible as it is today. Before the Ohio-Erie Canal, it used to take 6 to 8 weeks to get here from the East Coast. Not only did the canal reduce travel time to 6 to 8 days, it also opened up many opportunities for Akron.
You can imagine 6 to 8 weeks to 6 to 8 days is remarkable. It opened up the economy of the West or the East Coast. It allowed people to bring goods into the area and to also profitably sell their goods to the East Coast. Everybody asked me, were you interested in history before I came here? I've been the executive director for approximately 3 years. No, I was not interested in history, but I became very interested in history. And I tell the third graders that come here, it took me 50 years to get interested in history. So everybody has a chance to become interested in history. You might not think it's important now, but later you may find a love for it. And I think it's very important for us to realize our cultural heritage. It identifies us as humans, and it gives you a sense of community. We all want to feel like we live in some place that we can have pride in, and learning about the past certainly brings that to the forefront. Is like, why is Akron so interesting? And if you look back, even the indigenous people, so it predates the white immigration to Ohio. The history of Ohio, and especially Akron, is unique. Everybody thinks of Akron as LeBron James or of Firestone and B.F. Goodrich, but it all happened way before that. This Cascade Valley was used as a portage for the Indians to portage their canoes from Lake Erie and the Cuyahoga Valley, or the Cuyahoga River, to the Tuscarawas River. Later, the settlers came here and used it as an industrial valley to run their mills, foundries. Obviously, it became the Ohio and Erie Canal, and now it's transformed into a recreational valley. It's really neat to see the changes, and I think that it's probably a cliche, but to know where you're going, you have to know where you've been. Otherwise, how do you find your way?
Didn't know about Akron.
I know, that store looks so neat, and it's been there for so long. How did we not know about it?
I know, very cool. I'll have to check it out sometime.
But for now, we're going to pass things over to Zoe, who's going to give us a look at the weather.
Hello, Zips. It's Zoe Demakis here with Lights, Camera, Akron, weather, and safety report. So let's just say Ohio has been on a roller coaster of emotions. I didn't think it was possible, but hey, folks, we had spring, summer, fall, and winter all last week. If that doesn't shout global warming in big bright letters, then I don't know what does. I had to keep a snow shovel, umbrella, and flip-flops in my car. I also realized, like Al Woods would say, wearing a winter coat with a poncho over it and sandals on the side is definitely heinous. I would not suggest it whatsoever. But on the brighter side, the sun is out, the sky is blue, it's beautiful, and so... Anyways, back to the weather. The weather has seemed to stick. We have had a warm front on our hands with some rain, but today it was mostly sunny with some scattered showers. I mean, I'm still wearing my poncho, and it was also a high of 82 degrees. 82 degrees, people. We went from 32 to 82 like that. Tonight, the low will be around 50 degrees. Oh, and did I mention that wind? It almost blew me away today walking outside. The windstorms are alive, people. Alive, like Frankenstein. You know, this also reminds me of the 1996 blockbuster hit Twister, starring Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt. Anyways, moving into the weekend, make sure you keep your rain boots on because Mother Earth is calling for cloudy skies and rainstorms with highs in the 70s. We also see that this warm front is still kicking into next week because the degrees vary in the 70s. But from now on, it looks like Ohio is suiting up for summer. Well, at least we think. So parents, apply the sunscreen to your children, and kids, make sure you eat as many popsicles and ice cream as you can, but make sure you brush your teeth. This construction that has been going on all around Akron, I know it's miserable, but I have some tips for you to how to drive safe in the construction. 1, expect the unexpected. 2, slow down and stay alert. 3, if it says 20 miles per hour, that doesn't mean really transform your car into a NASCAR driver and swerve in and out of trucks, you know? People, I know you want to go fast like Ricky Bobby, but don't. Shake and bake with safety. 4, I know we live in a fast-moving world, but stay patient. If you're at a standing stop, smile to the person next to you. Like that. Or have a dance party in your car. 5, don't text and drive. Come on, just don't. And for my last tip, be the offensive and defensive driver at the same time. You know, you got to be like LeBron James on the court, making shots and blocking them at the same time, if you know what I mean. Remember Game 7, 2016? Well, folks, I think that's it for me. Again, I'm Zoe with the weather and safety report. Back to Maddie and Josh. Rock 'em.
That was honestly the greatest weather forecast I have ever seen. Thank you so much, Zoe.
Yeah, and like Zoe said, we do live in Ohio, so who knows actually what the weather is going to be like.
Very true. Ohio weather is very unpredictable. And with that, we've come to another commercial break.
We'll be right back.
The periodic table, yo, ever heard of it? It helps us out with science, it's exactly why I spit.
I can kill it on the mic, doing science every day. The elements, fam, yeah, you know I know them things.
I got copper, silver, and I'm down with that gold. You would never meet a rapper that's this litty and bold.
I'm as noble as the gases, you can call me neon. I'm as tough as iron, yeah, you boron.
You getting mad, bromine? You look a little salty. I should call you sodium. Chlorine will make you faulty. You should mind your own business. Try to hold your tungsten. This rap is almost over. You're loving 300.
There's one last thing to say before I let you go. Go to 45-1. Make sure you watch our show.
300-second science. Don't forget our name. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Insta. That's where you'll see our fame.
Today we're talking to people about learning and attention issues like ADHD and dyslexia.
October is Learning Disabilities, Dyslexia, and ADHD Awareness Month. We're inviting people to learn more about these invisible issues. So we built simulations so you can actually experience what it's like to be one of the 1 in 5 with learning and attention issues.
I gotta go back. I don't know how to do this at all.
Time's up.
I'm gonna get this wrong.
Something which you think is easy, and it wasn't.
I think I'm a pretty smart person, but it was really hard for me.
1 in 5 people have learning and attention issues.
Learning and attention issues are common and real.
I had no idea.
I was shocked.
Everyone's brains are different.
I have a newfound empathy for those who are misunderstood.
I think everybody deserves to be understood. We all want to be understood.
Be understood.
Be understood.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Hey, are you a new member here?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out which team to be on. Which team are you on?
I'm on the ZTV Sports Report. Your home for everything Akron athletics.
Oh, so you cover LeBron James. He's from Akron.
Yeah, but see, that's not exactly
I get it. You cover the Akron Rubber Ducks. They play in downtown Akron.
Right, but no, we only cover the University of Akron players and team.
Yeah, no thanks.
Don't be like that guy. Tune into the ZTV Sports Report on channel 45-1 at 11 a.m., 2:30 p.m., 7 p.m., and 2 a.m.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
So, you come to me on the day of the Akron After Hours writer meeting, only 3 sketch ideas, and you ask me for some of mine? You show me no respect. You don't invite me out to coffee, you don't call me producer, and yet you want my ideas?
Clayton, do you want to get food?
Yeah, okay, let's go.
What is that?
What? It's abstract.
Jack, literally, what does this have to do with the arts in Akron?
Yeah, honestly, what is this? Why are we doing this?
You guys, you just don't understand what real art in Akron is like.
I mean, look at this. I can't draw.
I mean, look, bro, come on, we can't broadcast this. We film the art, man. We don't make it.
Welcome back to Lights, Camera, Akron.
With graduation right around the corner, that means it's time to start looking for a job.
It also means plenty of job interviews. And as LCA's reporter Brendan O'Hara learned, what you're not saying could be even more important than what you are saying.
As the clock continues to count down to graduation, for many seniors, that means one thing. It's time to find a job. And while you may have your resume prepped and ready to go, there's something even more important that can help you stand out from the crowd.
Many candidates have a very similar resume, and I'm sure you're familiar with that. They have the same degree, they have the same experiences, etc. It's the interpersonal situation. It's the face-to-face interview that will either put you on the short list or not.
Dr. Andrew Rancer is a communication professor here at the University of Akron and quite the expert on nonverbal communication. He tells me that what you're saying is actually only a small portion of how you're portrayed in an interview.
The meaning of a message is conveyed about 55% through facial expression, 38% through your vocalics, your tone, rate, pitch, inflection, vocal variety, and only 7% by the words that you say. So in reality, nonverbal communications is sometimes much more important than the verbal messages, even in an interview situation.
So what are some nonverbal things students do that hurt their chances? Dr. Rancer tells me simple things like tapping your foot too much or clicking a pen can be distracting and make you look nervous, and bad posture can make you look uninterested. But there are some things you can do to improve your chances without even saying a word. One of them is pretty simple. Just smile.
Smiling is a very important nonverbal cue that indicates affinity for another person.
On top of showing off your pearly whites, eye contact, head nods, and slightly leaning towards your interviewer also shows that you're invested. And there's one trick that takes some skill to pull off, but apparently works wonders.
Mirroring behavior is when you kind of match the nonverbal gestures, if you will, of the person conducting the interview. So if they cross their legs this way, you cross your legs the other way, and you don't do it right away. You wait a couple of seconds. If you did it right away, and if you did it in the same direction, you'd be mocking that person, not mirroring their nonverbal behavior. If they move their arms this way, you move your arm that way. Again, you don't do it in a rapid way after they ask you or do whatever they do, because that's almost mockery, not mirroring. But research has found that when you mirror another person's nonverbal behavior, they like you more, they feel closer to you.
And who could forget the all-important handshake?
If you do it too softly with only a few fingers, you're going to have the limp fish handshake, and that may signify to the interviewer that you're insecure or just not socially appropriate. Some people go in the opposite direction, and they pump your hand like they're squeezing steel. And that, again, is inappropriate because it may mean that you're trying to be too aggressive or assertive. So again, an appropriate, normal handshake, not too hard, not too soft, is the way to go.
But what about some things you can do verbally? Like when an interviewer asks a fairly vague question, what are they looking for you to say?
Employers want to feel confident that you're the sort of person, if you will, that can do the job, will do the job, and will get along with the people in the organization. So they're really assessing when they give you these vague questions. Tell me a little bit about yourself. They're really assessing not so much your response, but they're assessing how well you can accept management direction. In other words, you're coming in at an entry-level position typically, okay? Can you take orders from those individuals who are above you in the organization? They want to get a sense of whether or not you have a history of slacking off, if you will, if you're a slacker, all right? or if you get too comfortable on the job and maybe take advantage of things, and whether or not you're going to jump ship at the first opportunity and go to another company, even if it's only for $10 more a week or a year or whatever. So those are the things that you have to look out for, okay? And what you want to do is to, again, focus on your impression formation, answer the questions, try to focus in on your competencies and the skills that you will have for that organization. And I think that will get you the second interview.
So remember, next time you have that big interview, an employer may be listening to what you say, but your body language can be just as important as the words coming out of your mouth. Reporting for Lights Camera Akron, I'm Brendan O'Hara.
Those are some very helpful tips. I'm definitely going to take those into consideration now that I'm on the hunt for a job.
It's all about rocking that interview. That'll get you the job.
Next, we're going to send things over to Ramon in the control room for this week's headlines.
I'm Ramon Wise with this week's headlines for Lights Camera Akron. Class of 2018 is graduating soon. Bridget Cincinto, a grad student, will be the student speaker at the spring commencement ceremony on May 12th. She has a history degree and has interned in a U.S. Senator's office and will be heading to law school in the fall. A professor of 50 years at the University of Akron will also be moving up in prominence. A formerly known professor in the School of Sports Science and Well Education is now Dr. Mary Jo McCracken. She is a mentor and served along 555 other employees who were honored for their outreach. A strange rock was observed by a UA biologist in a cave in New Mexico that was featured in a National Geographic documentary. Dr. Hazel Barton examined a cave that is known for strange geology. Zippy is also making some clatter by becoming an official senior citizen. She has been the mascot of UA for 65 years. The board names Dean John Green interim president of University of Akron. He is slowly working with leadership teams that focus on investing in our areas of academic strength, building in better resolution, and completing academic program review. The School of Law mock trial team finished second in the national competition. For the last 5 years, the team has earned a spot in the championship. University of Akron was selected by NASA to test augmented reality space helmet display systems. The team of students from University of Akron are known out of 10 other universities that were selected nationally to develop this type of technology. Engineers who focus on water filtration have developed an invention that filters and stores water. Dr. George Chase, a professor of chemical biomolecular engineering, has a patent pending for a separation device that helps remove little water from fuel, which prevents damage to engines and fuel systems. This was the final headlines for this semester. As always, make sure you check out UAkron online for campus updates. We will see you next fall. I'm Ramon Wise with Lights Camera Akron. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Ramon.
In light of the upcoming graduation ceremonies, we decided to get to know some of our seniors and hear about their stories.
Jenna Ramon is on the scene at E.J. Thomas Hall to introduce us to some of UA's graduating class.
Thanks, Maddie and Josh. I'm here at E.J. Thomas Hall, where next week University of Akron seniors are going to be walking the stage and receiving their diplomas. I had the pleasure recently of sitting down with University of Akron seniors and talking to them about their journeys here.
As soon as I came on campus, I felt at home. I absolutely love the big green spaces, and everything felt like a tight-knit community.
Really, it felt like a family type of thing. It felt like they were very, comfortable. It wasn't awkward. So it just felt right.
The moment I stepped on campus, it felt like a community, and everybody was really welcoming, and they really wanted to learn more about you. So yeah, the community feel is the biggest part for me.
The amount of fantastic people here is like family pretty much, because it's like there's so much dedication and passion to help you succeed and to help the school and everybody pretty much do well. Like it's just refreshing and nice, and it makes you feel at home, and you don't have to really worry about like fitting in or not fitting in or things of that nature.
Many seniors, no matter what they studied, learned a lot of valuable lessons and had impactful experiences through extracurricular activities and student organizations.
Right off the bat, we had dance marathon back in high school, so I joined the first dance marathon there was, and I was like a morale leader person. I was the PR director for a year, and I'm an ambassador for Love Your Melon. Part of the ROTC, which takes up a boatload of my time, nights and weekends and such. And I'm also a chairman on Model United Nations for our university too, so I get involved a lot.
I'm a member of Kappa Kappa Gamma. I'm vice president of my honor society, Kappa Omicron Nu. The advisors there are amazing between both organizations. I'm also part of the student athletic training organizations, and we have a lot of fun. We do trips and we help promote our profession as well.
Me and my friend created this organization called BOSS. BOSS stands for Black Organization for STEM Students, which goes out and tries to educate inner city schools students on STEM fields.
I love BOSS. BOSS is like my heart. I'm really passionate about the mission because I think why I do what I do is that where I'm from, it's like you don't really see a lot of people get out, and then you don't see a lot of African American women get out in sciences as well. So it's like this is for the kids. You can do this, you can grow up, you can leave this place, you don't have to stay stuck here. And that allows me to do that in Akron as well as show that to back home as well.
One of the things we got to do as directors is actually go to the new wing of the hospital when it was built for the children's section. And what we did there was we gave them cheek swabs, and that was for a bone marrow. Like, one in how many thousand people get selected to be a perfect match. This semester I was actually a perfect match. And they flew me down to DC, and I got to donate bone marrow, stem cells for somebody that I don't even know. I won't find out for like another year. But it was through Dance Marathon that I got that ability. They flew me to DC for a weekend, and I got to do that. So that was a pretty cool experience.
Of course, they were not immune to the challenges and stresses that every college student experiences.
Time management is definitely something that is kind of troubling, but it's good because it teaches you like time management in your life in general. So like if they kind of stress you out now, then you're good later. Because you want to do everything. I want to be involved with everything. I want to volunteer everywhere. I want to see everybody. I need to do all these things. There's so many tests. Please help. Pretty much. So
I was never a strong school person, but because the class size was so small, I got to know my teachers really well. So I got a lot of one-on-one time. It was definitely the hardest part because it was definitely waking your butt up early, getting to a tutor, and then going to class because I knew I would forget it if I went after or anything like that. So just the long days of going to the tutor and then going to class, kind of that grind, that was tough.
Just balancing everything, especially classes in life. But challenges isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like really challenges help you grow. And I think if it wasn't for the challenges that Akron has, presented me with, whether it's in the classroom or it's on co-op or it's being a leader in the student orgs, those challenges helped me grow and become the person that I am.
Although they had their struggles, these Zips had a lot of professors and organizations that made a huge difference in their lives.
I was very introverted when I was in high school. I was scrawny and tiny, and I decided to be something else in college, and I wanted to be bigger than I was. I wanted to be more than I was, and I definitely did that just being open-minded. With all the clubs, experiences that Akron has to offer, it's honestly ridiculous. There's so many different things to do, and so many people don't know.
The lead of the Ideas program, Dr. Julie, she's been fantastic my entire time here. I love her. She's like a second mom, almost.
The professors we have through the RTC are actually active duty officers and non-commissioned officers. It's kind of been a humbling experience being under the wing of all the officers we have here because it's really a one-on-one type of situation you get because they give you their 10, 20 plus years of military officer leader experience and they bring it to a classroom version where we have maybe 10, 15 kids.
Kappa Kappa Gamma has made a huge impact on my college career and just meeting everybody in the organization. And
everyone seemed to really get a lot out of their time here at UA.
And so did we. I can't believe this is our last show ever for ZTV.
Such a bittersweet feeling, but this show will always hold a special place in my heart.
As it will in mine too. And just because Maddie and I won't be here anymore doesn't mean you can't still keep up with the show.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Signing off for one last time, I'm Josh Gowdy.
And I'm Maddie Watkins. Aww. And I'm
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. To find out how you can make Emmy-winning media, visit the UA School of Communication online. ZTV. Make media. Make a difference.